In this video, I'll cover disability as a global injustice crisis. This video was created by Frankie Piemonte. Before we go further into disability around the world, we should understand the current situation using relevant facts. According to the World Health Organization World Report on Disability, more than 1 billion people in the world have some form of disability. This corresponds to about 15% of the world's population. Secondly, people with disabilities as a group are more likely to experience adverse social-economic outcomes than people without disabilities. Now that we know how much the world is impacted, we can look at disability at a global issues perspective. I'd like to introduce you to the cycle as I found in my research. The cycle includes 1. Disability, 2. The effects of having a disability, 3. Poverty, and 4. The effects of poverty. Let's go over who's impacted by this cycle. First off, women in developing countries who suffer from disabilities are more likely to experience double discrimination. They are also more likely to experience violence, abuse, and marginalization. Many girls in developing countries are already discouraged from going to school and getting an education, but with a disability, it makes it even harder to acquire one. Speaking of education, our second major group impacted by this cycle happens to be children. Children with disabilities in developing countries are sometimes seen as a burden on their community instead of an asset. Also, schools in developing countries often lack the resources and accessibility to help out disabled children. Our third group is poor people. Poor people in developing countries often live in impoverished villages. Disabled people need extra care and money. However, employers refuse to hire disabled people because they feel like they can't get the job done. My second to last point addresses the question why people should care. The Global Report on Disability reported that disabilities are on the rise. With that number rising, there are still many barriers. Some of these barriers include the following, which leads to the effects of both disability and poverty. The final reason why people should care is for the sake of world progress and innovation. Many famous world figures suffered from physical and mental disabilities. People such as Stephen Hawking, Helen Keller, John Nash, and Stevie Wonder. Lastly, who is obligated to care? Governments such as national, local, state, and international. Second, teachers and schools. It is their job to care for all students regardless of any differences. Lastly, if you are someone of moral being, you should feel obligated to care. Everyone has a right to live a happy and successful life.